Hey guys, Beebs here. Welcome back to the channel if you're returning. And if you're new here for the first time, then you're most welcome. On this channel, I play guitar, I do lessons, teach licks, break down ideas, talk about gear, all the usual guitar YouTube stuff. And today, I'm going to be breaking down some presets and captures I've done for the 0DSP Quad Cortex and Nano Cortex of my Morgan AC20 amp. Now this is an amp I absolutely adore, and it was the amp that actually first got me interested in the whole edge of breakup, chimey Vox kind of sound. If you want to grab these captures, you can do over on my Cortex Cloud profile. I'll leave the link in the description for that. Now, like I did with my previous captures with the Friedman Brown Eye, I've actually done a whole extensive range. There must be probably 30 or so captures I've done of the amp that you can get if you join up to my Patreon and then do the follow back and forth on the Cortex Cloud, and I'll send them all to you. If you just want to grab these free ones that I've done, then that's probably more than enough. The way that I've organized the presets is such that you can get a good idea of the amp in general. But if you're like me and of that completist nature and you want the cleanest of clean all the way through to the full amount of drive the amp has on offer, plus all the different switching options of bass and bright switches, what have you, then yeah, you can jump to the Patreon and get the full extensive range. Like I say, follow me on the Cortex Cloud, let me know your username in a DM or a comment, and then I'll send them over to you. Otherwise, there's more than enough interesting sounds on tap with the presets that I've created and the captures that are available for free. More than anything, I just don't want to clog up my Cortex Cloud profile, public profile, with hundreds and hundreds of captures, but they're there for those of you guys that really do want it. While I'm talking about the Patreon, over there you'll also find my backing tracks, transcriptions for all my solos and licks and lessons and things that you can find, access to all the other stuff I've done in the past, and everything going on into the future. Okay, so I've loaded up Cortex Control. I've got my main public preset that we're going to break down here. This is called Edging Heaven. I wanted to focus on those edge of breakup tones that the amp's so great at. But before we do that and break the preset down, I just want to go through my directory and show you what I've done in terms of my principle or my thought process behind capturing the amp. Okay, so AC20 here, I've got this folder. So the amp itself has a bass cut switch and a bright switch, and I've done basically 4 variations here. So I've got a whole bunch of captures with the bass cut switch on and the bright switch on, and that's what the main public preset Edging Heaven is based on. Then I've got the bright, I've done a whole range of captures with the bass cut switch off and the bright switch off. Then I've got the the bass cut switch on and the bright switch off. There's another public preset, Edging to Heaven, featuring those captures. And then there's I've got the bass cut off and the bright switch on. Okay, so my favorites are when the bass cut is on, bright switch is on, and the bass cut is on and the bright switch is off as a variation, depending on how bright your guitar is and whether you're using sort of humbuckers or single coils. In the intro track, I was just using single coils. That's going to have quite an effect as well as to how much bass you're going to have or not. Okay, so as you can see, if I go to the first folder with both switches on, I go through from volume 3 all the way through to volume 10, and then this is what the sort of naming convention is. Morgan AC20, V3 is volume 3, C is the cut switch, so it's a really simple amp. It's just got a volume control, a cut control, just one knob, and then a power level. Everything is done with the power level on full, by the way. I've not changed that at all. And then the switches for the bass cut and the bright switch. So it goes Morgan AC20 V3, so volume's on 3, cut is on 5, C5. Then the BCS is bass cut switch is on, and the BS bright switch is on. And then that just repeats through the volume range here, going all the way up to volume on 10. Because it's quite a straightforward, simple amp, and it sounds really good when you get it to its sweet spot, I didn't feel like the need to do loads of different captures with the cut switch all over the place. The only time I was adjusting the cut switch is in some of the variations with the switches where it got a little too dark or too boomy. So I do change things a little bit, but the core philosophy here is I've got a sound that I really like with the amp, and I'm running with it. Okay, so going back to this preset, Edging Heaven. The way I've set this up is very similar to how I did my Brown Eye presets and how I use the Quad Cortex in general. If you didn't see that video, well, I'll link to it in the description. But generally what I'm doing here is I'm running in hybrid mode. So I've set it so I'm setting up 4 scenes in the preset. So I've got across E, F, G, and H. I'll bring up the gig view actually. And then on the top, I'm using those to bring in and out the stomps, okay? So we'll talk about the signal path and the signal chain, exactly what's going on, in just a moment. But I've got these three scenes for this preset. I've got a cleaner one, I've got edging, which is the main one it defaults to, edge of breakup, and then an over the edge, a more driven tone. So of the captures, if I come to the signal chain here, I've got three captures. So on scene E, cleaner, it's selecting this capture here. So this is from the folder with both switches on. And so I'm starting here at V5. So this is the capture where the volume's at 5, the cut's at 5, and both switches are on. If I go through to, okay, and I'll just play that. If I go through to edging, so this is the main scene, this is where it defaults to. This is a little bit thicker. The volume here is on 7, cuts on 5, both switches are on. Turn that delay off for now. So this is the kind of sweet spots, the meat and potatoes of this amp really. If you play with single coils on the neck pickup here, if I pick lightly, it's really clean. If I dig, it's got that shimmery, jangly, chimey kind of sound. That kind of late 90s, early 2000s pop rock kind of jangle that when you lay it with an acoustic guitar and some other driven kind of amps, sounds fantastic. On the bridge pickup, you'll really hear it kind of dig in and be more driven. But really, it's not getting into overdrive territory, and depending on your guitar, of course. So if I had humbuckers here, the edging is probably going to drive a little sooner, or maybe a semi-hollow will be maybe the kind of sweet spot with P90s. And I just love how these kind of amps respond. Even though they're such low gain and they're really quite clean, you can just get that kind of bouncy for days, sort of legato-y sort of sound with it, which I just love it. So I don't need any compression, although I do have a little helper on hand if I need it. I don't really need any more drive than that, but it's just got this lovely sort of flowing bounce to it. If I want to dig in on this, if I start doing double stops, you hear it. Okay, moving on to the third scene where we're at the top end of the gain for this preset. I click this capture block. You can see I'm on volume 9 here, so the amp's really quite cooking now. Cuts on 5, switch and bass cut switcher on 5, and if I switch to this scene, we get this amount of gain. Now it's still clean if I play softly. Obviously just thicker. Now I'm also using, as I said, the stomps on top here. So I've got, I always name my compressor like help me. So I can bring in the compressor here. And I do believe this is just my standard opto mono. Yep, that's what's going on there. So, and it gives a little bit of extra bounce, a tiny bit more grit and push, but really it's just about making things a little bit easier on the left hand when I need it. And then across the top with the other stomps, I've just got a variety of pedals and drive pedals that go well with this amp, I think. So I've got sort of a boosting sort of clon, and then I've got the Nobels ODR1, which I'm really being turned on to lately, and then classic, just Tube Screamer at 12 o'clock, everything at 12 o'clock. The rest of this preset, so I've got here, there isn't a Morgan cab in the Quad Cortex, so what I'm using is something that I think maps onto the Nano Cortex. I think this exact cab is in there. So this is the UK C15 Blue, and then you can see the positions of it all here. So actually that's a good point. So for you Nano Cortex users, obviously you can't get this preset, but you could set up something very similar using these captures that I will make available, of course, and then you could build something very similar. I've got my usual tape delay here. This is stereo, usual kind of settings I'm doing. So yeah, ping pong, and then 30% mix, 25% feedback. And then with the plate lush, as again, it's another great reverb. I can't use all the time on the quad, 25% mix, 60% decay. So for that Edge of Breakup intro jangly tone, I'm on scene F. So I've got the mid gain here. This is this capture with volume on 7. Delay is off. I can't remember if I had the compressor on or not, but either way. So you hear that sort of grit and that sort of warm kind of chimey jangle. When you blend that with an acoustic guitar playing a similar part, such a cool sound. I really love it. As I say, it's really evocative of that kind of Matchbox 20 kind of sort of thing from the late 90s. Bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. A lot of those bands were using like Voxes and Bad Cats and Matchlesses and those kind of sounds. Then kicks in with the overdriven part. So I simplify the part, play something very similar whilst the original part's still going, but just simplify it down, put it onto scene G. So I've got the amp on 9 here and I play the part. And we get that overdriven, chunkier part. I've then got a clean part, so I'm using scene E here, which is the cleanest sound. I'm in position 4 with my pickups and I go. Yeah, that's it. Then for the solo, I just go on to scene G again, so I've got the volume on the amp at full, turn on the compressor and the Tube Screamer, and we get the solo tone. There is another public preset that's a variation on this preset with the bright switch turned off. That's called Edging to Heaven. You can check that one out as well. If you've got a brighter guitar or you just want a little bit of a darker sound, you could try that one out. And yeah, let me know what you think of these captures and these presets if you check them out. Basically, I love this amp and I couldn't wait for Neural to get the plugin into it with X compatibility. So I just figured, well, why not capture the real amp and then I can play with it until such is the time. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening and your comments and feedback lately. It's much appreciated. If you're enjoying the video, enjoying the channel, maybe give it a like, subscribe, ring the bell and all that good stuff. Just a reminder, if you want to grab all of these captures, well, first of all, you can grab the free ones over on my Cortex Cloud. Link is down below. And then if you want to get the full extensive range, like I say, join us on my Patreon, follow me, send me your username, and then I can send you all however many it is. Is it like 30 or 40 I think I've done of this amp, plus you get access to all of my others, so all of the Friedman stuff. And as I do more of my gear, you'll get access to that as I go about the process. You also get all my backing tracks and all my tabs and transcriptions to my licks lessons and the when I do an intro or outro solo and I transcribe that, they all get put on the Patreon. So that's one way you can support me. Other things that you could do to support me, if you are so inclined, is to check out my app Solo. This is a practice tool for learning to visualize the fretboard. I've got a course on the same theme called the Ultimate Fretboard Visualization Course in collaboration with Tom Quell, and all of my other links to my courses and the podcast, Fibonacci guitars, all that stuff in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to leave a comment, let me know what you think of the amp, what you think of the captures, much appreciated. And if you've got any suggestions or ideas for other kind of content you like, or other capturing or lessons or anything you'd like me to see me do, I'm always open to suggestions for content on the channel going forward in 2025. Really enjoying doing these and enjoying the feedback. So yeah, thanks so much for watching and see you again soon.